Hey everyone, it's Isaya. Welcome to this new type of live that I'm doing with a guest. This is called Women Don't Talk About, and it's going to happen once a month and explain in general. But first I should introduce myself, shouldn't I? Yeah, I should. So hi, I'm Isaya. I'm an artist. I'm a magic, pragmatic, inspiration mentor and a tech coach. And that would do for tonight. If you want to learn everything about me, well, basically, since I'm streaming on my channels, you should know me a little bit. If you don't, you can find everything about me on my website, isayabel.com. I'm changing my glasses here because those have a reflection and I don't like it. So this is an idea that came once we were discussing with Lisa, who you can see there or there. I never know which side. This is the idea. We come together and we talk about things that usually women don't talk about, whether because it's not polite or it's too intimate or it's shamey, like putting ourselves to shame, or because it's too mundane, not really important, or we kind of overlook the whole situation. And so these conversations are going to happen once a month. I'll be streaming on all my channels, and then they will land on both my podcast and the guests' podcasts or YouTube channel or channels, so that basically you get to know my besties and they get to know me. So yeah, tonight, I think that's enough about the whole concept, or is it? Let me see. Did I say everything? Conversations with a guest around topics seldom discussed, whether difficult or not serious enough. And it can be sacred or mundane, dark or light, taboo or fun, and no subject is off the table. So if you're interested in coming to discuss with me, you can also apply. I have a queue, as a matter of fact, because I started mentioning that, and now wants to come and talk bathrooms. Why not? No. So I think this is going to be fun. So my first guest is Lisa Jara. How do you want to pronounce it?
Jara.
Okay. Jara. Sorry. And so I love your title. So she is a soul-based life coach and a feminist business owner. So I'm not going to read her bio or pretend to introduce her. She's going to do that herself. Welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. And please tell us a little bit who you are and what you do.
First of all, thank you. It's so fun to start this whole series with you. I am Lisa. I support women and menstruators through the dark times of life, through the dark times in their cycles. So both if you experience trouble with your menstrual or moon cycle, or whether you're going through a dark phase, a challenging crisis in your life, I'm the one to hold you through it. So it's much more easeful and much more fun together. And you can safely arrive on the other side, led by your own wisdom.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm really happy indeed that we are starting with one of those subjects that indeed we don't talk about, but it's not only we don't talk about. It's like women don't talk about, it's like men don't talk about it. It's like nobody talks about it. And the place where it's really dear to my heart and to my womb is that this subject is basically half the time of my life. Every woman or a menstruator, as you call them, experiences this kind of dark time 2 weeks every month, basically. So let me recap. During our moon cycles, whether we're talking about personal cycles like menstrual cycles or the cosmic lunar cycle overhead, we have 4 distinct and powerful female archetypes which are coming to dance in turn on our paths as women. The same thing happens in a bigger scale throughout the sun year, with each season symbolizing one of the 4 energies. So we have 4 basic feminine archetypes that come to dance and that we visit every month. Now, for 2 of them, the maiden and the mother, no problem. They're well recognized. Everybody knows what a maiden is. We discuss maidens. They are all over Disney movies. And everybody knows what a mother is. You know, mother is the major role that women are allowed or even enticed to bear through life. Now, as far as the other 2 are concerned, the Enchantress and the Crone, this is where things get difficult, because those 2 are the archetypes that nobody talks about, that we as women are often asked by ourselves. I mean, it's not doesn't have to be an exterior pressure. It can be an interior pressure. But we are very often asked to suppress, ignore, silence. And these are the archetypes that we call the dark goddesses. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the Enchantress, the magic creatrix that is connected to the the menstrual phase, to the autumn, to the waning moon, and to the the ebb tide. And we're talking about the crone, who is connected with our menstrual phases, with the dark moon, with winter, and with the low tide. So these 2 archetypes have been not only ignored, but willfully and consciously suppressed because they're productive. Or in a masculine world, they are not productive. So they end up being silenced, whereas the other 2 are mostly pushed into the light, which is a problem because there's 4 weeks, 4 archetypes, and to create a complete cycle, women go through all 4 archetypes. And so I personally have been interested in these subjects when I started training with Miranda Gray about the cyclic woman experience, or let's call it this way. How did you become interested in subjects like that, Lisa?
It was, I think, around 2016-17 that I read a book, and this book was called Goddess Wisdom by Tanishka the Moon Woman, and that, like, in it, I would even call it a feminist book. It opened up my eyes to the goddess, to the feminine that has been suppressed, and how little we women know about our own cycles and the cycles of life, how little we are initiated, how little we are prepared to have these, like, these phases. And, like, not only in our personal, like, menstrual or moon cycle, but also this destructive force of the dark goddess, because, like, the whole death part of life, because we don't just live and then we die like many little deaths on the way. And for a woman or a menstruator, we die, some part of us dies each month during the menstrual.
I agree. I agree.
Menstruation, as you said.
Absolutely. And I believe that this death is literally the only way that we can live again. So if we try to suppress this death part, there is no renewal possible. There is no rebirth possible. It's like, you know, if we're afraid to completely let go into the darkness, into the silence of the crone, and just forget everything that we were and give ourselves permission to be nothing, so as to be reborn in the maiden when we do. I think there are 2 aspects, and that's why I'm interested to talk about you. There are 2 aspects to this suppression of the dark issues. One of them is aspect. So how do I live my life as a fulfilled woman if half of my archetypes are silenced? And the other one would be a social one, or a political one. of course, obviously both are connected, but I know that you are very passionate about the political things, and I am too. But I think it's really important to realize that it's way more than a personal issue. It's not, oh, I'm not getting heard when my menstrual is cut in two, basically. It's also, what does this have as an effect for society?
Mm-hmm. And first of all, I want to say that like this death part during menstruation, it's basically recharging our batteries. That's why it's so important. It's the time where we don't have much energy, and where if we don't rest and just push through, as many of us do. I mean, how I myself have lived like, take painkillers and then just go as if it was a normal day. And if we never get to this place of resting, we can't recharge our batteries and we will run dry. And that's, I believe, why so much burnout is happening nowadays.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really easy for women to understand, or for men for that sake, or for whoever, to understand when we compare the cycles, the phases of the cycle to the seasons. For me, it makes everything very clear. You know, the Enchantress phase is the autumn phase. So in autumn, what happens is every leaf starts falling, right? So we start to let go. The Enchantress lets go of everything. And then in winter, what happens for nature is that the seeds are underground and everything seems dead. Nothing is, right. Nothing is fully dead. Everything seems dead and nothing happens. Without the leaves falling, without the seeds in the ground, there will be no spring, right? So it's recharging the batteries for the earth. And if it's bloody necessary for the planet, guess how much it is for
Yeah, and I just want to say that like many people that follow the cyclical path, they say like women are cyclical beings. I want to say every being is a cyclical being. We just all work on a different cycle. And like a man is also, or like a male body is still cyclical. Just the cycle repeats itself almost every day, very similarly. And for us, it's also, it's the same cycle we go through, just prolonged over a whole month. And like,
I will trust you on that.
Often gets, and what often is said, like, oh, women with their mood swings. Well, yes, that may seem like it from one day to the other, but there is a certain predictability. If you follow, like if you track your cycle over several months, you will start to realize that, oh, it's always around this day that I get a bit irritated or cranky. And if you know that, you can prepare for it.
Absolutely. For me, the lessons from the Dark Goddesses is really about, and I only talk about women for, not because I don't believe that other beings are not cyclical, but because I have to acknowledge my ignorance. I've been working with women for over 25 years now, regularly. I mean, I've been running red tents and women's circles and talking circles exclusively with women. And so I feel confident that I have a good knowledge of women's psyche and women cyclical bodies, basically. But I have to acknowledge my whole ignorance about men. I'm sorry, but I trust you on that. For me, the major lesson is that when we can harness our cyclical beings in the fullness of it, then it means that we become this powerhouse that is completely unstoppable, because in the cycle there is the recharging of the batteries. There is, you know, the maiden has got the dynamic energy, so she's full on, right? She's this basically male thing. You know, she's goal oriented, she goes there. Then the mother will be the nurturing, generous personality, and then we go into the enchantress, which is basically the magic of I can have sex without having children, right? So I'm this magic person.
I'm a magnetic woman, you know, like exactly. This magnetism of feeling your full power. That's absolutely expressed in that phase.
But at the same time, the enchantress for me has got this, I'm getting naked. Because when we start the enchantress phase, we are full in the light, right? We are up there in the full moon. and then slowly we go downwards. And so when we start going downwards into the labyrinth of the darkness, we start with the fullness of the light. But the more we go, the more trust we have to develop into and to own, and trust and have faith that where we land, i.e. in the crone's cavern or in the crone's darkness, is a safe place. And
I
that's
really
this.
like that you say it's getting naked, because it reminds me of this the story of Inanna or Ishtar, who is like going into the underworld to rescue her sister or to help her sister, and she's stripped of all the worldly things she has. And like that, we are stripped until in our menstrual phase, we are pure us. We recognize ourselves, our truth.
We give ourselves, I believe that we get this amazing opportunity basically every month, and then every year as in a larger cycle, and even all through our lives, we get this amazing opportunity to get stripped of the mundane and of the personas that we wear when we are outside in the world, if we could just allow for ourselves for this darkness and this silence. And I believe that it's really there it lies the real magic, not only for the rest that we need, but also for the dreams that we dream in the darkness, because these are dreams that will carry us through the light.
And I know the next cycle. Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to. I'm postmenopausal now, so my cycle is the moon cycle. When I was younger, I used to be a spring person. I loved spring. Then I loved summer, and now, really, I love autumn and this energy that we're right in. So we're recording this on April the 27th. So we're very close to Beltane, very close to the fullness of the summer coming, right? And we're going upwards or into more and more light. And I must say that I feel almost violated by so much energy. Now, at my age, I much prefer the energy of the end of August, September, which is according to my age, I guess, So I can feel in my emotions, in my energy, that this cycle is playing on multiple levels, and it's got so much to offer.
It completely is. Although I must say, like, for me, I'm now 35, so I'm like from that perspective more in the maiden motherhood phase, like the transition. I don't have children yet, but I have always more connected with the crone and the enchantress, and like evening is my time in the day. the cycle, the premenstrual cycle is like my phase. I'm now in my premenstrual phase, and I'm like full of energy. The autumn is my phase, and winter is also my phase. I'm not saying that
we have to correspond to our age. So that for me, I know that I feel that the full-on energy of the end of spring is too heavy for me. It's like, give me a break, oh, come on, chill. But the dark goddesses, for me, it's what you said about Ishtar, it is exactly that. It's how can we dare trust that we don't need anything in the darkness to just be rejuvenated, reborn, basically. It's like, and for me, if we talk really goddesses, not the archetypes, the darkest of the goddesses, and she is goddess of death and rebirth, but none of them. I mean, one doesn't go without the other. And when we try, like we have for centuries now, to negate, to silence the dark goddesses or the dark archetypes, so the enchantress and the crone, we end up with women who are usually burnt out, exhausted, and lost, as in we behave like men, and we can't sustain. It's not sustainable. And even if it was sustainable, my next question would be, and it doesn't make us happy, which ultimately is the goal, right?
It is.
I know that I've been...
and that's like these bigger societal problems that I also see, and like one of the other conditions, depression. Absolutely. And I have once heard that depression is suppressed rage, and I totally agree with that. Like, we women have to suppress our rage, because very often if a little girl is angry, she's told off. She's rejected in some way, shape, or form. But if she cries, oh, the poor little girl, and she's taken into the arms and all of that. So we have learned very early on to usually turn the aggression inwards
into
towards
sadness,
ourselves, or turn it against ourselves.
I agree. I think that anger, and rage are really emotions that are connected with the Enchantress. That she, if we let her, she owns it. And again, anger or rage are as emotions. They should just be in motion in our system. And if we stop trying to suppress it, i.e. blocking it, in fact, and we just allow it to flow, well, then, then we go into the next phase, basically. Because that's the thing. If we allow the cyclical nature, means that we change, that we visit, we dance around those four archetypes, which for me is a major joy. Because, the rage and the anger are just one part of me. And then maybe in the darkness of the crone, I can dare to be sad, to be really deeply sad, and allow for the tears to fall and the sadness to happen. And then maybe the maiden will bring joy, or maybe not. Maybe she will bring more anger. Why not? But
and also anger, like, or this deep emotion that all of us have from when we are born. It stands for change. Anger is the one thing that motivates us to change something, and anger is in itself like a knife. You can do good and bad things with it. Likewise, anger, you can use it for change and motivation to change, or you do harmful things with it. But in a society where we aren't taught how to deal with our anger in a healthy way,
no, and even
find unhelpful ways.
I believe that the sadness or the so-called negative emotions are very connected to dark goddesses, because in the same way as the dark goddesses have been silenced, and that we are still silencing them in ourselves, in the same way those negative emotions are supposed to, not be there. So what then happens
and I see different. You have introduced me as how I call myself a feminist business owner. But what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of a feminist and have some knowledge around feminism? It's usually angry, bra burning women.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I believe that is it's the witches of today. It's the wise women that dare to reflect and that are angry about the situation the world is in and that want to change something.
Yeah.
And I believe there are so many feminists out there. Women just don't dare to identify with it because there are so many negative connotations.
There are. I mean, the Enchantress, even the word Enchantress brings back the witches, right? And well, we know what happened. 9 dead people, amongst with 80% of women. So basically, we see that it is an individual issue. And I really believe that it's for every woman, it brings back this personal, very individual pain of negating 50% of your life. But then it becomes also a societal issue where society agrees to negate that. And that means basically, for me, that means negating women. Because if we negate half of my cyclical life, it's like you don't want me at all then, and so
it's negating the feminine in everyone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, men also suffer under the current system because men also don't want to be like the strong one all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the one who has to take care of the family.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, for me that it's the lesson number one from the Enchantress is dare to be angry, dare to be joyful, dare to be sexual, dare basically, and just let it go. Like really, I can hear the song in my head because I'm this person, but it's really about that. It's about, you know, be like a tree. Let go of all the leaves that are the persona, the masks that you're wearing, and just be you. That's, for me, that's the major thing around the Enchantress phase. And that would bring the magic. And then in the darkness of the crone, for me, it's the silence. Just shut up. Shut up altogether and let the thing happen almost without me. So the rest and the rejuvenation happens almost without me, not almost, without me doing, you know, it's like, yeah. And then I got this other song in my head, sitting on the dock of the bay. For me, going into the crone is something of the sort. You just sit there and whatever, and have this absolute faith that whatever needs to happen, if anything, will happen. And it's
for me,
such joy. Such joy to not be into the doing anymore.
For me, the lesson of the Enchantress is also questioning. Questioning yourself, in the sense of questioning how you are living your life. I believe that a lot of the symptoms that are coming up, like usually the critical voices are very strong in the premenstrual phase. They are all there to just show us where we are not aligned in our life, where we are not daring to show our truth, or even like acknowledge it to ourselves that this is what we want and we don't want to continue with that. And like we very often, unfortunately, use it against us. Oh, I shouldn't think that, I shouldn't want that. Who am I to question this? But
I agree.
That is the power, I believe, the discerning moment of what is my truth and what can be stripped away. So like what to take out of the leaves, as the tree does, and then shed the rest.
I agree.
Then, as you say, coming into this moment of being with this truth, not doing with the truth, but being with that truth and having a breather.
And allowing for whatever, if anything, and then and being okay that, you know. So how does this transform into your daily life? Because, you know, we've been talking about the lessons and very theoretically, but for me, it has been, for years now, it has been an everyday way of life to kind of own nature, and it transfers into my Google Calendar has the moon phases, and I know exactly when and how we are, or I am, and even if I forget. But it also means that my business is arranged around my cyclical nature. It also means that, you know, I know that around this weekend, roughly, because it's the dark moon coming on, I will need more time, more rest, more sugar food if I'm eating sugar, which I'm not at this time, but, you know, and more emotional support, which can be, emotional support does not mean, it doesn't have to be other people. It can be just me supporting myself, or it can be music or more meditation. It can be watching nice TV shows that are, you know, doing me good, with people loving each other and basically optimistic things, or it can be just sleeping more. So I think that the lesson, if we want to talk about it like that, for the period, so for the really dark period of the month, for me is, of course, it's mostly difficult for most of us to just stop altogether for a whole week. But how can we accommodate, you know, and bring this theory into the practice of our everyday lives? And I think it's possible, even if you work full time, it's possible to accommodate that you will go to bed earlier, that you might eat differently during this phase, that you might take more time with yourself and less with socializing. And it's, for me, it's really important that it becomes a practice. I think living your life as
and not another to do. What we so easily, and I should have rest, and I should do this, and I should eat this, and oh my God, I shouldn't be out with friends.
No, I don't think
and
it's
that's
like
what
that.
so easily happens. Yeah, but it easily happens when we want to do it perfectly.
That into another. Oh no, this we can agree that perfection is.
I just want to say for the women out there, like if that comes up for you, it doesn't mean you have to completely cut like out, as Isaya said, a week or 3 days or something, and follow strict rules of what to eat and what not to eat or how to move.
No, for me,
listen to what your
giving yourself
needs.
Giving yourself permission to listen to what you need, and
exactly.
Indeed tracking your menstrual cycle if you have one, or looking at the cycle of the moon very closely, and maybe journaling for cycles to see what comes back, and to find your own rhythm, and into this rhythm give yourself permission to do or not do whatever you are called to, and not whatever society says so, and if you're invited to a concert and you feel like going, even if you're in crone phase, go. But if you don't feel like going, just don't.
That's it. And like, I mean, even for like, I have to prepare well for my menstrual phase because I experience pain in a way that doesn't have me leave the couch for 2 days straight. So I have to rest. I can't even do anything about it. But like preparations, I prepare the food so I don't have to take, like I can put it in the microwave and just heat it and done. Yeah. But I can do all of that before. Or like when you've got small children, it can be extremely hard to carve out time for yourself. And then maybe it must be enough to just close the door when you go to the toilet.
Yeah.
And that for a moment, and that moment is all, but it is a signal to your system that you try to take care. And I think that is the only thing our body requires.
I agree that it doesn't have to be, I'll take a week off and go to a spa. This is because if you will do that once, but you will never do that again and again. So I think it's mostly it's about listening. The lesson from the dark goddess would be that listen to the cycle, listen to your body, to your emotions, and as much as you can and as much as you enjoy it, follow what you hear, follow the messages, and if the message is I need some rest, maybe it is closing the door up to the toilet or having a shower, a longer one because it's nice, or asking for some help also, sometimes.
Or maybe calling in sick at work.
Exactly.
Yes, you are allowed to do that.
Exactly. And if you're lucky enough to be like me, so you don't have any young children at home and you don't have an exterior work, then you can accommodate, or I can accommodate my life around my cyclical nature. And I cannot tell you how much relief it is. It literally hit my life, and my business, which is the other crazy thing, that it changes everything because I'm not in the push mode anymore, and I can be so energetic as a person, but that doesn't happen 4 weeks a month. It only happens around 2.5 weeks, and that's it. And the rest, I'm not this pushy, energetic person. I am, and I've been for over 2 years now. I've been running dark moon circles online, and every time it's difficult because it means going online where I'd rather not, basically, where I'd rather be in my bed watching TV or listening to nice music, reading a book. And every time I think, oh gosh, I should give this up. And every time it's like, no, because the 2 or 3 women who need that, who need the reminder that they can take 40 minutes out of their lives to come in circle with me and just be held in the arms of the crone through my hands, it's an amazing service, I think, but for me, it's one of the most difficult things I do every month, It's because I have to pull all this energy that I most of the time don't have, basically. But I feel like this is maybe getting old is also, for me, it's like, I feel I learned about my cyclical nature very late in life. And I feel like I regret that. And I really hope that women and young girls learn as fast as possible.
Yes, I completely agree. And before I want to say something else, I have a newsletter which reminds you, if you're on the list, of the different moon phases you're coming in and to which menstrual phase it relates. And I send out like weekly reminders of what
That's
energy
awesome.
you have to pay attention to in that week. So
that's
if
awesome.
you are interested in that, subscribe to my newsletter.
Absolutely. You will give me your subscription link, and I will put it under the in the podcast description as well, because this is awesome. I never thought about doing that. I write a newsletter as well, but I didn't. That's great. I'm going to subscribe. Thank you.
that is basically the reason why I started this newsletter, because I reminded myself of this, and I thought, well, others could need the reminder too.
Yeah,
plus some personal reflections.
No, I have a Google Calendar, but I never thought about doing it on my newsletter. But that's great. And that's why it's awesome to work in collaboration with people.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to touch on is that, like, right now we are talking of these 4 phases, like, or the dark goddesses in particular, as in the menstrual or moon cycle, but there are also phases in life when we sink deep into that enchantress or crone phase, which is like, as I said, I work with women moving through challenging life transitions or crises. That is definitely a dark goddess moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's the, let's call them interior circumstances, like the rhythm of my body. Then there's the moon, right? Then there's the seasons, which starts to be exterior. And then there's life events. And all these can pile up into a lot of dark goddess moments. I always, when I teach about the maiden, I'm saying, imagine when you're in your body's in the maiden phase and it's springtime, and the moon is in the maiden phase. There's a lot of maiden. Well, there can be a lot of darkness in the other direction as well. And I think that for me, like the winter season is a season that I become very, very careful around my energy. I see it with my clients as well. It's like I have to remind myself and remind my clients and my friends that this is a period of the year where we start very low. And so if we're pulling it too hard, it's going to be dangerous. It's the same, I think, with life events that happen and that pull you into the dark phase. Then it doesn't mean that you're never going up. It means that you are starting from very low. And this is when usually I recommend help, because we don't have to go through this alone. And I'm very, very, I'm a very big admirer of your work, which I could never do. But I think it's amazing that there is this possibility of a torchbearer in the night, in the darkness.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's the same with menstruation. In these moments, for example, when we lose someone or when something really serious happens, we are stripped of everything we thought was important, that the world told us was important, and we are left with just ourselves.
Yeah.
And meeting that can be very vulnerable and very hard in a world where we haven't learned how to do it in a healthy way. And so, yeah, definitely it's good to call in help, and even just friends. And similar to what you've shared, what we can do during the dark moon or menstrual phase, listen to your inner nudges. If you don't feel like doing anything, don't do anything. It's okay. The emotions have to be experienced.
During one of the most traumatic times of my life, when my husband was taken to the hospital and he was in a coma for 3 weeks, I was lucky enough to have some help. As in, my mom came to live with us, and the kids were young. And I sat on a chair facing a window for 2 weeks, basically. I was in a state of, I can't do anything. You know the Harry Potter fix? You know, this thing where I was like this. I was just like, and I know that I was processing everything, but it was just impossible to verbalize, to have a coherent thought or even an emotion. I wasn't even crying. I was just like petrified, basically, or it seemed like I was, but I wasn't. Things were going on inside, a lot of things, the processing, as you were saying. And it is really so important that we give ourselves the time when things like that happen, and the help. But indeed, every menstruation phase is kind of a rehearsal for that, you know. So if we can rehearse, if we can rehearse when nothing big happens, because thank goodness, not every month is some a major sad life event. But if we can rehearse for that and dare to be stripped to ourselves during this time and hold ourselves, you know, hold this part of myself that needs to be alone, that needs to be in the darkness, and just let her be. For me, that's your lesson that I learned, is it's okay to just let it be. Let me be, basically. And it was so out of character, because I've been taught to go, basically, and to be efficient. And
haven't most of us. Most of us.
Yeah, that's why I think, you know, it's because most of us have that we can then become adamant that, hey, this is wrong. There's something wrong there. Something that, but I don't like using words like wrong or right, for that sake, but it's wrong because it feels painful. And I believe that we are not here on earth to experience painful and sad.
Well, life is painful. Let's be clear on that. Life can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but it can also be a joyful.
And it doesn't have to be a suffering. You don't have to go on suffering in that. Life will be painful, but you can get through.
Yeah, I think, sorry, it's my English again. I think we agree on the, it's the words that we don't agree, but that my words are wrong, but the idea we agree. So basically, I think we're almost up to our 45 minutes, because we decided that we'll keep that under 45 minutes. So every one of these conversations will be kind of a short thing. So
may I have some final words?
I was going to say, do you have any final words?
And that's just because we just celebrated Earth Day on April 22nd last week. And I wrote this post because, like, one day to celebrate the Earth can seem very, very futile, given the state the world is in right now and has been for a long time. And if we start listening to our bodies, what they tell us, what they need, what we need, listening to our truth, I'm so sure that by doing that, we will at one point also question the nourishment we put into our bodies. And I mean, physical nourishment, emotional nourishment, mental nourishment, and spiritual nourishment. And then we will ask, and where does the nourishment come from? And is it from sustainable sources, or what kind of energy are we putting in? And this way we will transform the world. So it starts with us, with the personal realm, with our body, and everybody is asked to give do their share.
Absolutely. Do it for you, do it for me, do it for the earth. Yeah. Get in contact with
and also
yourself.
Just, because we feel like we have to do so much, or we are so small, we can't change the world. Yes, we can. By changing something in ourselves and listening to ourselves and holding ourselves, we change the world.
I believe that we create the world as we live. So basically, if I change me, I change the world around me. So we encourage you to get the information, the knowledge, if you don't have it, around the menstrual cycle and the cyclical nature that you can. We encourage you to find help if you can't do it alone, and mostly in the dark moments or the dark phases, if you feel that being stripped bare basically is impossible alone, you are not alone. That's what Lisa is here. So I will share her details in the podcast description. But really, there are people who can help you navigate through the darkness if you are there. And you don't get a medal for doing it alone. What you do get a medal for is for doing it. And for doing it in a way that is not dangerous to yourself or to others. Yeah. Do you want to do some straight on promotion, or are you good?
I'm good. As I said, subscribe to my newsletter.
Yes, absolutely. We will put the link. I will put the link under the podcast description and in under the video as well, because I think it's a great idea. It's a good start, if you don't know where to start with that. Subscribe to Lisa's newsletter. You get the reminder, get into your cyclical vehicle and have fun with it. Because obviously,
if you're going through a dark phase in your life, or you would like to deepen the connection to your body in a one-on-one setting, because I am an expert at holding space for your wisdom, then get in touch. Isaya will link all the details.
I will link all the details, exactly. Thank you very much for having us. I will now put some music to end the live, and I will see you in a month with another guest who I don't know who is going to be yet, or I don't know the subject of the conversation either. Bye for now.